The wind tore through the Bitterroot Mountains like a vengeful spirit, its icy fingers clawing at the frail figure of Eliza Hawthorne as she stumbled through the snow. Her shawl, once a vibrant blue but now faded to a ghostly gray, hung in tatters around her shoulders, offering little protection against the biting cold. In her arms, cradled as though he were merely sleeping, was the lifeless body of her son, Samuel, only 7 years old. His small face, pale as the snow beneath her feet, was peaceful now, the fever that had ravaged him for days finally silenced. Eliza's heart, however, was a storm of grief, each step a battle against despair and the weight of her loss. Her boots, worn thin and soaked through, left uneven tracks in the snow as she trudged toward the only place she could think to go, the cabin of Amos Creed, the mountain man whose name was whispered in the valley below with equal parts fear and awe. Eliza had heard the stories. Amos was a giant, they said, with a beard like tangled briars and eyes that could freeze a man's soul. He lived alone on a rocky outcrop, far from the town of Willow Creek, in a cabin that seemed to grow out of the mountain itself. The townsfolk spoke of strange noises emanating from his land, howls that weren't quite wolf, shadows that moved too swiftly to be human. Some said he'd been a soldier, others a criminal, but all agreed he was a man who'd turned his back on the world after some unspoken tragedy. To Eliza, none of that mattered now. She had no one else. The undertaker in Willow Creek had turned her away, his cold eyes flicking over her empty pockets with disdain. Her husband, Thomas, had been taken by a mining accident 3 years prior, leaving her and Samuel to scrape by in a drafty cabin at the edge of town. Now Samuel, her light, her reason to keep breathing, was gone. All she had left was a mother's desperate need to give him a proper burial, to lay him to rest with dignity. The path to Amos's cabin was treacherous, a narrow trail that wound through pines heavy with snow. Eliza's breath came in ragged gasps, each one a small cloud that vanished into the storm. Her arms ached from carrying Samuel, but she refused to let go, clutching him as though her warmth could somehow bring him back. The wind stung her face, freezing the tears that streamed down her cheeks, and her vision blurred as she squinted through the blizzard. She'd walked this path only once before, years ago, when Thomas was still alive, delivering a message from the town's blacksmith about a broken axe. Even then, Amos had been a shadow, a hulking figure who'd taken the note without a word and closed the door. Now, she was returning to beg, her pride shattered, her heart laid bare. As the cabin came into view, its rough-hewn logs dark against the white expanse, Eliza's knees buckled. She sank into the snow, her strength failing, and clutched Samuel tighter. "Please," she whispered, her voice hoarse and barely audible over the wind.